This is The Cut, American Whiskey, Daily. Heaven Hill's Bernheim distillery was supposed to be back at full production this week. It isn't, and the reason has nothing to do with whiskey and everything to do with a fermentation tank that didn't show up on time. Here's why that delay matters more than it sounds. I'm John from Chasing the Unicorn podcast. Here's what moved today, July 20, 2026. Today's big move is a delay stacking on a delay. Here's what happened. Heaven Hill confirmed its Bernheim restart has slipped from mid-July to early August. The cause is boring on purpose. A supplier didn't deliver replacement fermentation tanks on schedule. But the timing is the story. Heaven Hill already had a 15% production cut planned for this quarter. This isn't a new problem landing on a stable system. It's a delay landing on a slowdown the company already chose. Here's the part that touches your shelf directly. The delay only hits new whiskey being made right now. Bottling of already aged stock keeps rolling on schedule. That includes Evan Williams and Elijah Craig bottled in bond, the everyday bottles most people actually reach for, not the allocated stuff. But Heaven Hill has told retailers straight up to expect thinner allocations on some of those bottled in bond lines through late summer while they manage the timing. When one of bourbon's biggest value tier producers tells its own retailers to expect less, that's not noise. That's a signal worth sitting with. Now, today's Rickhouse. This is where we step back from one headline and look at the industry-wide picture. And this week, the picture is bigger than one delayed tank order. Because while Heaven Hill is slowing down, Wild Turkey just did the opposite. Campari confirmed the Lawrenceburg Distillery's capacity expansion is finished, 6 months ahead of schedule. $85 million funded entirely internally, no new debt. That detail matters. A debt-funded expansion into a market everyone agrees is oversupplied would be a real gamble. You're on the hook for payments no matter what happens. A debt-free expansion is a different kind of bet. It's patient money, sitting on whiskey that won't be ready to sell for years, by which point the market's expected to look completely different. Eddie Russell said the near-term effect is modestly looser Masters Keep allocation starting in 2027. So look at what's actually happening this week. One major producer is pulling back and warning retailers about thinner supply. Another is finishing a capacity bet early, debt-free, betting on the other side of the cycle. That's not contradiction. That's two companies reading the same oversupply correction and making opposite calls about how long it lasts. And there's a third data point sitting quietly underneath both. Sazerac confirmed Harlan Wheatley, Buffalo Trace's master distiller since 2005, is beginning an 18-month shift into an advisory role, with a successor to be named from inside the current team. No departure, no crisis. Just succession planning at the distillery that decides Buffalo Trace Antique Collection's warehouse selections every fall. 3 different producers, 3 different moves, and every one of them is about managing what the next few years look like, not this one. Here's my read. When production news, capacity news, and leadership news all land the same week, it's not random. It's an industry quietly repositioning after 2 years of pulling in the reins. Some are betting the correction is ending. Some are still bailing water. Either way, none of it is about this week's shelf. It's about the shelf 3, 5, 10 years out. Which brings us to today's first sip. A quick one that connects directly to that Heaven Hill delay. So here's what it is. If tighter bottled in bond supply has you wondering why that label carries any weight, here's the answer. Back in 1897, whiskey fraud was a real problem. Some producers cut bourbon with industrial alcohol and colored it with prune extract to fake the look of aging. Congress passed the Bottled in Bond Act to shut that down, and it's still the cleanest guarantee on any shelf today. One distillery, one distilling season, at least 4 years in a federally supervised warehouse, bottled at exactly 100 proof. No exceptions. That's also why bottled in bond bottles are consistently the best value around. Real age, real proof, no blending tricks, usually cheaper than bottles making bigger claims with looser rules behind them. What this changes? Next time you're stuck deciding between 2 bottles at a similar price, look for bottled in bond on the label. It's telling you something the marketing copy won't. And if you want to actually track that baseline against everything else you drink, log a bottled in bond pour in the logbook on the Perfect Pour app. It's available now at theperfectpourapp.com. And watch how your pour print reads once that 100 proof, 4-year floor is sitting next to it. One bottle worth knowing about while we're on the subject. Heaven Hill's own Bottled in Bond 7-year just restocked at the Bourbon Heritage Center in Bardstown, and it's still widely available nationally too, at $27.99. Vanilla, light oak, easy drinking, built for a glass or a cocktail without demanding much from you. It carries a 7-year age statement, well past the legal 4-year minimum, at honest 100 proof. With Heaven Hill's own restart delay tightening bottled in bond supply through August, this is a clean, no-drama bottle to build a palate baseline on while it's still easy to grab. So here's the one thing to walk away with. A delay at one distillery and a finished expansion at another aren't opposite stories. They're the same industry making different bets on how long this correction runs. You don't need to guess who's right. You just need to know that the easy, honest, everyday bottles on your shelf right now are worth grabbing before somebody else's bet plays out. That's the cut. The full American whiskey industry brief is free every morning at chasingtheunicornpodcast.com. I'm John Schuster. Thanks for joining me. Your unicorn is out there.